What is going on, you guys? In this video, I'm gonna give you my top 5 ways to increase resistance or intensity on a total gym or sliding bench trainer, other than simply increasing the tower height or incline setting. A lot of you guys had maybe seen this from past videos if you guys are a long-time viewer, but we got a lot of new people that are coming out, which I'm definitely grateful for. So I thought it'd be worthwhile making one condensed video showing my top 5 ways of kind of mixing up the resistance and just progressing the intensity on these machines. Because one of the comments I often get from people when they first initially look at this equipment, or maybe they have it and they feel like they're not getting challenged enough, is they feel like they max out the equipment fairly quickly just based on their body weight or the tower height setting, and they don't really take advantage of all the different unique ways you can really stress your muscles. And that's what's cool about all these top 5 ways. It really mixes up the different tension and feel of what might be somewhat of a static, simple exercise like doing a chest press. So you can get all different types of feelings from just switching up these things a little bit. In the same way when you go to the gym, one of the benefits of maximizing different machines is you guys can stress your muscles on a cam machine versus a straight cable machine or a plate loaded machine or even resistance bands. And all those feel different. All those things have a different advantage and pro and con that you guys can maximize to see results. But before I get into this video, guys, if you like this content, want to see more of it, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this content. Everything that is featured in this video can be found in the description box. If you guys do check out any of those links, it greatly supports me and the channel, so I definitely appreciate that. And one quick disclaimer, try this stuff at your own risk. I think some of these machines and some of these things I'm doing, even though I've never seen anything bad happen to myself or heard anything, probably not necessarily designed for this, so consider if you're doing any of these things I'm saying, try this at your own risk. All right, the first way to increase resistance, and probably the one that I most often gravitate towards, are resistance bands. I've made tons of videos on this channel if you want to go back and check that, from resistance training sites, from maximizing different types of bands, from loop style, I like to use the Undersun company bands, I'll link those down below, or tube style from Body Elastic, all different types of ways and preferences. The beauty of resistance bands, there's a number of them, but one of them is simply that they're so inexpensive and easy to kind of throw on and off the machine. So it makes it easy to kind of gravitate and change up exercises, also resistance settings, so you can make something super hard or just add just a little bit of extra light tension if you want to. Certainly with resistance bands, they give off variable resistance, so the more you're kind of going through a range of motion, the harder the actual exercise gets. So you may or may not like that. It's a little bit different compared to free weights. But otherwise, like I said, I use them most often because they're so easy to kind of bring out with my equipment, especially if I'm working out outside. I can use the resistance bands off the machine as well. So that's the primary reason why I tend to gravitate towards these compared to these other ones I'll be getting into. All right, the second way to increase resistance, what may seem obvious if you guys have a total gym, especially ones that has the weight bar attachment option at the bottom of the glide board, is to add some external weight plates. Now, if you don't have this option, stay tuned for point number 3 in a second, but the external weight plates, obviously I like it a lot, just adds external resistance. I think it just feels a little more natural compared to resistance bands in that increasing the intensity and progression of a given exercise. Oftentimes I'll follow maybe like what my sliding bench training poster, I'll link this down below, that template, the strength template, where I'll have a circuit and I just add some external weight on each subsequent round. But sometimes I'll just grab either a pair of 45s, pair of 25s, throw it on a typical workout, or maybe like set 2 or 3 and just make it harder that way. But the actual resistance plates, you actually can for sure load it up. I've really stretched the limits of the machine in past videos. I don't think it's really necessary to do that. But the point is, definitely check the weight limits, but I've definitely loaded these things up pretty heavily. Haven't seen any issues. I would recommend possibly upgrading the wheels. Maybe the product wheels if you're going to thinking about adding a lot more heavier weight to just extend the life of the rollers. But otherwise, adding those external weight plates is a nice viable option and just feels like a more realistic tension that you kind of get from just free weights. The third way to increase resistance, which might say is kind of similar to point number 2, is maximizing and using a weight vest. Now, this is a great option if you guys don't have a total gym with that weight bar attachment or some other model like a Proform or even a Great Flex that doesn't have that, is by using a weight vest, you actually can add some external weight and reap some of those benefits that you normally would get from those external weight plates. I don't think the weight vest would really matter. I'll link the one that I use down below, and you could even actually take out the increments out of the weight vest, which is also pretty cool. I just never took the time to do that. But the weight vest is heavy enough. Like I had this 45-pound one. I find even with my Total Gym Fit, which glide board is a little bit more slick and kind of slippery, it tends to stay on there fine. And if I just sit there just on top of it, or if I'm posting with my knees on it, I don't find the weight vest even really slides off anyways. So really easy, simple way to maximize external loads. You definitely notice that difference. What's also cool is that you can actually obviously wear the weight vest. That adds another added benefit of resistance because you're increasing your body weight. But you can do other things off the machine, just like with the resistance bands, and I could say free weights too, that you can maximize this equipment off the machine and then certainly on the machines. But I do love the weight vest. It's one of those things where I'll kind of go through phases, hit or miss, of using it or not using it, but consider if you haven't. And also it's another easy way of adding external load to the top portion of the glide board. If you guys are going to use the bottom portion for some external weight plates, that's something else you guys can consider and keep in the back of your heads. All right, the fourth way to increase resistance is to detach the middle pulley. This is something I used to do a lot more basically over a year ago. I was doing it recently if you guys were paying attention, but I didn't really highlight it or talk about it too specifically in recent videos. But detaching that middle pulley can make a big difference. It seems kind of deceiving, and I should say if you guys don't have a total gym, you're kind of out of luck. You can do it with a Great Flex as well, but if you got a Pro Form Ultimate Body Works, fortunately you cannot detach that middle pulley, so you can't take advantage of this. But what it does is it takes something that is generally an open chain exercise and turns it more closed chain. Closed chain in the sense that if we're talking about our moving limbs, whatever our limbs are acting against, if it's not free to move, in this case now we're acting against those cables and they're not free to move, they're kind of fixed, it makes the exercises a little bit harder. Not all the times, but usually. And you guys will see that it's just a little bit different. You really have to pull with your raw weight to kind of do a row or just do a general chest press. Also add some extension to the exercises as well. But you can also link the things together with the pulley in the middle to do some unique rows if you really wanted to. Point is, it's a very easy thing, just taking the middle pulley off. Might damage the machine, like I said, so kind of be careful with that. But definitely for pressing and rows, certainly even for curls, I should say that makes it exceptionally hard. You likely have to lower the tower setting though, because it can almost get too hard, but something really cool and really easy to do that can increase the resistance. All right, the fifth way to increase resistance, which again, try this at your own risk, probably the riskiest one of them all. It's one I've showed in past videos but haven't done it recently, is jacking up your machine to a higher setting. I used to use my windowsill, I used to use my weight bench, which I was a little iffy about, but it actually worked out fine. I thought I was gonna tip over. In this video, I just brought out some cement blocks to raise it up a little bit, but simply just putting your sliding bench trainer on top of another incline, basically extending the height of basically the incline setting. So makes it obviously a little bit harder. The downside is that some of the angles that you're pressing or pulling or curling at are gonna be a little bit different. Certainly awesome for like really steep pull-ups or even steep inverted presses that can feel really good. The main reasons I don't do this as much is I'm a little leery about just its safety. I also think it can progressively maybe wear and tear on the machine. So that's kind of in the back of my head. I just don't feel like the machine and that weight kind of coming down the way it is could possibly be damaging to the integrity of the machine. So those are the kind of two primary reasons I don't do it. I know there's a lot of people that watch the channel. This is something they do very often. So take it as you will. Now, what's really cool about all these different things I listed for you guys is that they can be used interchangeably with each other. So you can make different combinations and further kind of mix up the stress and tension that's given off on your muscles. And like I said at the start of this video, that's kind of the really cool thing about this capability of this equipment, is the ability to kind of maximize and change up that tension on a given exercise. So it doesn't feel like you're just, you're slave to just that pulley system and the incline setting that you're at. Simply adding 1 or 2 resistance bands, adding some external weight can greatly change up how that's gonna feel and therefore produce results on definitely muscle hypertrophy and just muscle building, but certainly muscle function and integrity. So that's really it, guys. Any questions, comments, feedback, let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next video.